been a very, very remarkable first day so far. We've been to about 6 schools. I think one of the things I'm most impressed with is I've seen instruction on day one. I've seen, classrooms that are filled with teachers who are ready to get after it. I've seen school administrators who are running their buildings as smoothly as possible on the first day, and I'm going to ask Brian to speak on it, but there haven't been any really serious, significant transportation issues. I think we had a couple buses with a couple mechanical issues. The number of HVAC issues, is manageable. So far, so good. Obviously, it's a big day for our city. You think when school starts back, and just the some of the gains and some of the achievement that we're trying to make, it starts on the day. So I'm pleased with what I've seen so far.
Brian, what do you want to say about how things are going?
This is one of the smoothest opening starts I've had in the 3 years since I've been here. So we do about 1,700 bus rides. We have about 347 buses. We only had about 10 mechanical issues with those buses. And also staff is meeting with the vice presidents of safety for Durham this morning, so we can have those worked out. Likewise, as far as HVAC issues are concerned, we only have individual classroom issues at about 12 schools. But on top of that, we have staff and contractors there trying to work it all out. So it's a great start.
Mr. Dorsey, I know there's 91% of registration, but there's 20,000 kids not registered. What's your reaction to that?
No, so I think that 5 years ago we had 70% of our kids registered on the first day. I think from what I've seen in these schools I've visited, when you have a small concentrated number of kids who haven't registered, it just makes the operations flow more smoothly. But I do want to say, really almost a plea to parents. Parents have to make sure kids get to school. Because what I've seen high-level teaching and learning on first day. I've seen principals operating schools in a very efficient way the first day. But you can have the best teachers and the best principals and the best operations, but if the kids aren't in school, then they're not going to learn. So, our plea is that for those kids who have not registered, and they're allowed registered today, parents, please get your kids in school because we need them there.
As a dad, I saw you tweet a picture of your daughter. What's behind that picture?
No, so my 6th grader started middle school today. And that was a really, really big deal. I walked her up to the school and she kind of said, "Dad, get away from me." I'm in middle school now. So a very, very good day so far.
Yeah. Dorsey, when you're walking around, you're talking to the students, I saw you were having a good time laughing with them. What are you telling them? What kind of emotions are you trying to give them to?
Well, I think, the one of the things that I like to ask is, what are you working on? Because the teachers and the principals say, "Hey, we're in instruction on day one," but the kids will tell you the truth. So I think that, without exception, kids are engaged. Kids are, some of them, they're a little rusty, and I think some of them are not, like my son, they weren't excited about coming back today. But I do think at the end of the day, a place like here and just throughout the district, you've got some top-notch educators, some top-notch teachers, some top-notch school leaders. And I think that, we had some testing, we received our results from our testing a few weeks ago, and I think you're seeing that we're trending in the right direction. And I think the hard work that has to happen starts inside these schools, and I'm very proud of what I've seen.
And you tweeted last night about 5 years ago the district started. 5 years later, what do you see and what are your goals kind of moving forward in year 6?
Well, I think that, obviously 5 years ago things were in disarray. And I think that just the way under the board's leadership and, with some of the things that we've done, we've been able to clearly stabilize the district. When you go from $100 million, in deficits to $20 and $25 million in surplus, and then you're able to use that surplus and invest back in schools, you start to see a lot of the support for kids, because we know our kids have huge social and emotional needs, and I think merger and pre-merger and all that, a lot of that stuff was cut. And so I think now we're being very smart and very strategic to make sure that we get those services back to kids, because at the end of the day, it's got to be about making sure kids have what they need so we can start to get the student outcomes that we want to see.
And also, we're in American Way, the newest addition to the Izone. And in March, you asked the state to keep it in the Izone instead of going to the ASD. What's the update there? Has the state responded? What's the...
Yeah, so I think that we haven't really heard a whole lot. But I think, as you guys see, we have a dynamic school leader here, and she spent time at Bellevue Middle School and really knows what high quality instruction looks like. And one of her comments is, she said she's been spending time here with parents and faculty, and she's like, I don't know, what all the negativity was. Just parents are buying in, faculty's buying in. So we think that, given our track record with the Izone, we certainly, deserve a shot to turn the school around, and I'm very confident in the school leader here.
And so have you heard a response from the state at all?
So you haven't heard a response.
Okay.
I think, they've obviously had some turnover and sharing coming in, but I do think that Sharon, I think if anybody's going to be able to help turn the ASD around, to be Sharon, and she's uniquely qualified and know our needs. And I think that Sharon, who was a part of the selection process and making us an Izone, would certainly be open to giving us the time we need to turn the school around. 'Cause this is a great school. I mean, you guys have seen them. These are great kids. They come from, great parents. And, all parents just want their kids to have a great opportunity. So, I mean, I'm very pleased with what I've seen here in day one. We got 179 more days to go, and I'm sure we'll have bumps in the road. But at the end of the day, you start strong and you finish strong. This is certainly a strong start.
So is this a critical year then? Basically, the state, as I understand it, says, okay, you didn't do it the way we recommended, but you have a year to
I think that the states and their strategy is somewhat in flux. I think with some of the data challenges, I think with some of the, there'll obviously be some turnover with a new governor and there'll be some new strategies. So, we're going on about our business, not thinking about the state. I mean, I think at the end of the day, all of our kids deserve high quality instruction. All of our kids deserve to have a great school. And that's our mindset here. So, if the time comes where we need to sit down and say, hey, state, let's work this through. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we have a strong record of success in Izone. The data from last year's 10 Ready, I mean, the gap actually between the ASD and the Izone is widening. So I think that, if we put the resources in, put the right school leader in, great leadership, this is in Ms. Bibbs' district, we'll get results. So I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
And speaking of academic leadership, it's been 18 months since SCS has had a chief academic officer. What's the update there on that search?
Yeah, so we've got some very strong and talented people in-house who are serving in different interim roles. We've been interviewing. I probably interviewed 12 people. I think the issue becomes make sure you get the right person, not the right now person. So, I think it's unique here because we've got work that's moving forward. I think that Heidi Ramirez did some good work to get started. I think Sharon did some good work to get started. Angela and Jairus and Antonio are kind of moving that work forward. So it's got to be somebody obviously who understands teaching and learning very deeply, understands and can unpack these academic standards, but then also is going to be able to inspire and motivate, principals and people here at the district. So the search is ongoing. Hope to have some announcement soon, but we're not going to rush it.
And last check, there was 54 teacher. Any update on that?
I think it's remarkable. Again, I think I just appreciate the board so much because we made some budgetary choices to hire some teachers early, and we're calling them teachers on assignment. We didn't lay off any teachers who lost positions due to enrollment, so we kept a cadre of teachers to make sure the classrooms were staffed. So I think 54 was the latest number, and we had a batch of teachers who were in the pipeline over the weekend. So just great work, by the Human Resources Department, great work by the board. So we're feeling good about that.
White Station High School. So we had some White Station High School parents complain about registration problems, about how they had students waiting because they were maybe deleted from the system. I don't know if you've heard anything about that or.
I hadn't heard anything about that. Obviously you're going to have glitches, but I think just. Maybe so, and I guess what we try to do is when we do have issues, we try to jump right on them. So I'm glad. So when we get done, we're gonna make sure somebody's on them. But I hadn't heard about that.
And you talked recently about the East High School sports complex that you've been talking about. Can you tell me about why you think that's important? What you think those plans?
Yeah, so we have a vision for East High School, to be, one of the premier high schools in the state. I think it's located in the center of the city. We invested a lot of money into to bring the academics back, and that's doing well. But I think when you have a location like that so many people in the community use, why will we not make investments there? I think that kids should have access to great facilities regardless of their zip code. So we discussed it with the board. There was positive feedback, but now we got to figure out how to pay for it.
With 100% registration, you have a rough ballpark on how many students there will be if it gets to 100%?
Probably right around 90,000 that are in SCS run schools, and then we obviously have a number of charter schools too. But it's right around 90. I think is the target.
And is that about on par from last year?
Yeah, I think we actually last year was one of the first year that I can recall that our enrollment actually increased. We actually got growth funds from the state, so we've been aggressive around recruiting, and if we get to 90,000, it'll be slightly higher, I think, than last year. Yeah.
And I know we're in a heat advisory. Any air conditioning issues you've heard from any schools or anything like that?
No, just like I said before, we have about 12 schools with just individual room issues. We have staff there and contractors there, so we're working out no full building outages at all. So we're doing really good.
Sorry, I missed that part of the first.
No problem. Yep.
What's your reaction to the new law, "In God We Trust," and what's being in all classrooms?
So we obviously have to follow the state law, and you know, we're aware of it, and we're making sure that our school operations team, you know, does what they need to do to follow the law.
Any pushback from any parents or anything?
Not so far, but I think it's so new and people don't know about it. I mean, obviously it'll raise some issues probably with some people around separation of church and state and all that, but I think at the end of the day, it's the state of the law, and you know, we're obligated to follow it.
What are your biggest goals for this year in terms of, I know Tennessee Ready hopefully will go smoothly this year. What are your goals?
So obviously dramatically improving student achievement, particularly around literacy. So the board made a really smart investment around a couple things. We put reading advisors and literacy teachers in 30 schools. Our 15 middle schools where literacy rate is the lowest, and our 15 high schools where literacy rate is the lowest. We also trained a cadre of teachers. We're calling them literacy laureates. And they got some really intense training. We're putting them in about 30 of our high schools. So we think with the resources, you know, to really focus on the literacy challenge we have, we'd like to see a big bump there. Actually was excited because I think we had about a 5-point upswing in our third grade reading on 10 rated last year. So that, but then also I think another thing I want to make sure we focus on is getting kids the social and emotional support they need. We know we have a lot of kids with just tremendous social and emotional issues, and I think that one of the things I know that Chair Bibbs would, you know, certainly push on is making sure we always figure out ways to involve the community. You know, we can't do this work by ourselves. You know, we're set up to have kids for, you know, 7 hours a day or however long it is, and give our best effort while we're there. But they got to go home, you know, and they got to go back to their communities. So I think just making sure that we are always open and always have open arms and engaging with communities, because I think if we increase our literacy rates, we support kids socially and emotionally, and then invite the community in and come help us do this work, I think you'll see student achievement starting to do that.
Are concerns about immigration affecting enrollment in the school?
It's too early to tell now. I think that, you know, obviously enrollment today at this point is probably higher than it's ever been. But I have heard a couple schools where, you know, I think some of the principals had to go out, you know, and meet with some families and just kind of reassure, you know, people that, you know, school is still a safe place. So, you know, it's really, you know, disheartening that a kid has to be even concerned about, you know, if I go to school, is something going to happen? If I take my kids to school, is something going to happen? So, you know, we don't have a way really to gauge the impact of that right now, but I think in the days ahead, we'll be able to determine what, if any, impact is happening.
And the reason I bring it up is because kids being kids, I saw some kids in the classrooms who were hiding their faces,
that's
and
the
I
first.
couldn't tell if they were just being kids.
No, well, that's the first thing I thought too. You know, you sitting there and the kid is there, and they're supposed to be the first day of school, and you're worried about it, somebody gonna come here and try to deport me or deport my parents. That's ludicrous. But the reality is that's where we are in our public policy right now. So we're gonna do all that we can to make kids feel welcome, you know, to make families feel welcome, and to reassure people that if you come to school, our interest is in making sure you're safe and that you're educated, not all the rest of the rigmarole that we hear going on out here, you know, and not just here in Memphis and Shelby County, but really throughout the country.
Are you beefing up security regarding all the school shootings throughout America?
Yeah, we hired an additional 30 resource officers. We infused some technology. Our SROs, our school resource officers, did some special training over the summer to be prepared. So, you know, you can never be too safe. You can never feel too ready. But I think we've done, you know, a good job in getting ready. But just, you know, God forbid something happens like that. Something like that happens. So.
Did you, and on that, I know last year the White States Other Schools, they have like lockdown drills. Any more quantity of those this year, those preparations?
Yeah, we've got a lot of additional things in store this year. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, we do. Yeah.
If you had the ear of every student today, what do you want to tell them? I mean, brand new year, what do you want to say to them?
Always do your best, even if nobody's watching. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.